Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy, and this is the Ask Videomail for the week of February 13th, 2012. Welcome to the site to the new members, and welcome back to the site to the old members. The Ask Videomail, don't forget, is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one. But if I'm going to answer your question, I need to have it, so you need to send it to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and there's no better way to take advantage of your subscription here to kennyroy.com. So send a question if you haven't already. I'm getting very excited because so much is happening for the studio, for me personally, so many things. I got the studio has 4 shots in Chronicle, which is a movie that is out in theaters right now. It's the #1 movie in America, or it was as of recording this. So hopefully it stays at #1. And that's really good for the reel. It's really good for future business. That's nice. We also got a few more shots on another upcoming film coming out soon. And a few TV shows, commercials. Things are going really well for the studio. I'm also continuing to write the How to Cheat Maya series, How to Cheat Maya 2013. I'm starting to have deadlines for the publisher, so they're going to start really bearing down on me, and I'm going to have to turn that in, and that will go on shelves. I think for SIGGRAPH is when they're planning on publishing that for Maya 2013. Which is really cool, by the way. It's a really cool update. A lot of nice new tools in there, so you should check that out. The site is going well. I think we're all having a great time. This week's Ask Video Mail has another Maya file sent with it, and I love doing these. So if you want to send me your Maya file, I love to take a look at Maya files. It's so much fun. It's a great break because I look at my own files all day, and so fun to just like pop open a new scene. So please send a Maya file with your question if you can. And on top of all of that, I am getting really excited for The Little Painter. That is my short film that I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter page that starts on March 5th. March 5th. I said in the last video mail I was going to decide when it's going to happen. It's going to be March 5th. And what I'm going to do is a 24-hour animation marathon here on kennyroy.com. It's just going to be on the homepage, so it's going to be really easy to tune in. Just surf to kennyroy.com on March 5th, and you'll see me animate from start to finish for 24 hours as a little bit of a publicity stunt, but it's also going to be a shot that goes into the film. And then if you think that I'm working hard and I'm going to make a great film and you want to be a part of it, you can go to my Kickstarter. There's a lot of great rewards. It's not just a DVD of the film. There's some other really cool things. You can get a credit. You can get a poster. Even if you donate, I can't remember what the reward level is, but you can even get a statue of the main character sent to you and be a character in the film. What? Sweet. So I'm very excited about this, and I think it's going to be a blast. I don't think I've ever heard of this before, a animation marathon to promote a film, especially 24 hours long and animating a shot in the film. So please, please, please tell everybody you know. I'd love to have like 100 users viewing the marathon. Obviously not all at the same time. That'd be ridiculous. But I'd love it if there's a lot of people supporting, and tell people about the Kickstarter as well. I'll give you guys a little bit more details as we get closer to March 5th. But I need your support if we're going to succeed. So that's The Little Painter. That's my film, and look for more details on that. Let's get right to the Ask question this week. Like I said, there is a Maya file to go with it, which really makes me super happy. So let's check it out. Very, very good question. So what is being referred to is the rule that when the weight shifts over the hips, that hip basically raises. Now, that's not actually the hips raising, because the hip is basically connected to the femur, and if the femur is straightening, it's actually the top of the femur going up, and actually the hips rotating so the other one goes down. So you don't think of it in terms of like the hips going up and down. Think of it as the femur basically pushing up when it's straightened. If you think of it that way, what starts happening is it becomes easier to think of it like this. Okay? Here we go. So here's a little demonstration. These are my hips. There's no money in these hips. Okay? And these two post-its represent my legs. Okay? So instead of thinking of the hips going up and down, think of when a leg plants, okay, and the knee straightens, all right, basically it pushes upwards. The femur pushes upwards, and that makes the hips tilt. Okay? So then you bring this other leg over, and it plants, and basically the knee extends, and the hips go this way. Okay? So you have this back and forth. The leg comes over, plants, and then the weight shifts onto it. Now, also, there's a little bit of back and forth like this, just a little bit. And what that combines to create is the correct or the proper way to shift the hips, all right? So you plant, and then as you move forward, your knee basically straightens, and that pushes the femur up, which rotates the hips, all right? So don't think about it as translation of the hips. Now, the reason why this question came up was very apparent when I looked at the Maya file, okay? First thing I'm going to show you is, well, let me hide the wrong one, supposedly, okay? We have both of the characters here, okay? So here is the supposedly correct one, all right? So if we look from the front, I guess the camera has keys on it. Let me just delete those. Okay. So if we look from the front, what we get is the hips going over onto this leg, and then placing and going over onto this one, and then back and forth. Okay. So this doesn't look as correct to this animator as this. This is the quote-unquote wrong way, okay? Okay, now I want to explain why this version actually looks a little bit better. And the reason is this. When you have a weight shift and basically a few steps and only a few steps, what the audience, what the viewer is looking for is how is that weight actually balanced, more than are they stepping forward and is this walk look correct. If this animator extrapolated this walk into like 10, 20 steps or even a cycle, it would look totally wrong. But why this looks right is because we really believe that this foot needs to have all of the weight taken off of it. So it makes sense that you rotate and you push the center of gravity over this leg, and the hips actually play a part in lifting the leg up. Now this is the way that I would have animated this. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with what the animator has done here. It becomes an issue when the walk needs to be, first of all, traveling forward a lot, and not only that, when the downward momentum is not completely dictated by where the weight needs to be, like visually. Okay, so for instance, if this was a character walking forward, we're not so concerned with where the weight is, like how the character lifts up their leg, because when they're moving forward, that forward momentum basically means that the leg is pulled off of the ground. Okay, so let me show you. So right here, right, so we're stepping forward, right? If I move this character forward, oops. Actually, I've never used this rig. Oh, here, this control. If I move this character forward, okay, see how the back leg gets pulled up. Eventually it gets pulled up. So that's what I'm saying. If you're walking a character forward, this up and down right here, pulling them off, makes the audience eye really, really on board for what's happening. But you need a really kind of in-your-face weight shift to get that walk started. So actually what would be, if you were going to turn this into a walk cycle, what you would do is you would keep the hips right here, and then when this lands, you would actually really kind of rock it, you know, like this. I'm not sure what this, you know, what controls I'm actually touching here. So I need to, you know. Okay, so you see on that step, that would be the first step, and then you'd have to, well, you have to calm all this stuff down, actually. All right, well, this would take a little bit more animation to really flesh out, but as you can see right here, as he's stepping down, it really feels like that weight, as that knee extends, is pushing that hip up. That's the change that I made, okay? So, so anyway, so let me bring up, let's look at them both again, and you'll see, actually let me undo the animation changes I just did. Let's bring them both up, and you'll see that the supposedly correct one doesn't look right anymore, right? Because what it looks like is that all of this weight is actually shifting downwards. Like, how can this character lift that leg up off the ground if the hips are pointing the wrong way? Okay, so this is correct. All right, what you want to just be sure is that you're watching a lot of reference for walk cycles, and when your character is starting a walk like this, yeah, you can visually cheat this, but when they start moving and going forward, you want to get them into that really correct walk cycle. I'm going to open up the dance scene. If you remember from the dance lecture, the character had a big weight shift right in the beginning, and I did the exact same thing. So it's because it's not a walk cycle, and because we need to really feel like we're swinging that weight up. That's how you make it make sense. So here's my character. Okay, he's snapping his fingers, and then he looks at us, and then he does his little. He starts his little dance. Okay. Okay. So if you look right here, look what I did. I had him shift over right here, and look how much he's tilted. Now I could have done a little bit more in the hips. I could have even gone like right there. Go even more. Let's just go nuts. Who cares? I'm not driving. Okay. So I did the exact same thing. So it's common to use especially big weight shifts in the beginning of your animation when you're establishing the weight and you're moving that weight around, to have to like push that weight over in order to like make it feel like you can lift this foot, or it's like this. Where'd my little visual aid go? It's disassembled, I'm sorry. So it's common to have to push it all over to make it feel like you can then lift this foot off the ground and then step. But once you step, keep those hips shifting up on the foot that is planted. And then you step over here, and then it shifts. And then you step over here, and then it shifts, okay? If you look at the website, it's called Reference. I'm going to go here right now. It is a website that has tons of reference on it. It's really cool. So I'm going to go to men right here. Actually, it's a lot easier to see on women. their hips when they walk. So let's just go right here, and you can see reference. So check out those hips as she's walking. See, it plants and it basically just pops out. Okay. So if you look right here, just look how tilted those hips are. All right, and then she steps, and look how tilted the other way they are. And there really is like a pop. See how it's like flat? It's straight on right here, frame 35. And then they're very straight. And then boom, her toe hits the ground. And then look at that. Over 3 frames, they rotate, they shift, and they almost lock. And then they're straight again. Straight, nice and straight. And then boom, her toe taps. Boom. 3 frames. It's the other way. Okay? So obviously there's plenty of reference out there. Reference.com is a brand new site. It's pretty good. They've got some interesting stuff there. Certainly for walk cycles, it'll help you out. Tell them I sent you. And yeah, so that's what you want to do. But remember, the rule of thumb is that if you're like starting a walk or you're having a character do a big weight shift, it's fine to like push all the weight over onto one leg and use the hips as like a visual reference of you being able to lift the foot that's planted. Okay? Really good question, because it's not quite apparent which rules apply all the time, unanimously, right? So it's good you asked that, and good we worked it out. So I'm very happy that you sent the MIA file. I'll hand that MIA file out, and everyone else can download it and have a look-see at what's going on in there. And then look at your own animation. See if you've been just following the hip up on the planted foot rule, just straightforward in every single piece of animation you've ever done. And if there's a weight shift, or like someone doing like a turn, or like a big start, or whatever it is, maybe the weight is wrong. Maybe the hips need to be a little bit looked at. Okay, so it's cool, and you have a lot of freedom here. Again, the so-called correct way doesn't look as good, but it is technically a correct. It still works. It's still a technically proper way to do it. So you have a lot of flexibility. In the end, all it comes down to is what you like to see and what you like to look at. So really, you shouldn't always be so caught up with the rules. As animators, we need to experiment and just have an adventurous attitude, and just always be feeling like it's our opportunity to grow with every single shot we do. So that's really how I feel, and that's how I hope you feel. So take on that adventurous spirit and experiment, and just see what works and what you like. Okay, it's the only way to get better. It's the only way to learn how to judge your own work, which is one of the most important skills that an animator can have on the job, is to be able to pretty much objectively judge your own work. It's hard though. All right, that was great. Thank you for sending in the question. Please send your questions in to me to be answered in a video just like this one. The address to send the questions to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. I answer all the questions I hope will help the most people. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Please send one in today if you haven't already. That'll do it. Thank you. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.